What is up, everybody? It's I, the People's Machine, coming at you with another episode of Gaming Roundtable. It is Sunday, Open World Week, the last day of Open World Week. Now, I know that I did not do any videos Friday or Saturday. I've been busy and other things going on, so I was not able to broadcast any videos from my apartment here on the Gaming Roundtable. Brought to you, as always, by Unpaid Gamers on YouTube. Check out Post-Human Guy's Leisure Play of the new Spider-Man Miles Morales on his PS5, so you can check out the graphics and the instantaneous load times of that. And also check out the man, the myth, the Apex legend, Banloss, his stuff, because he is always streaming some hardcore multiplayer action, and that's a good thing there. And unfortunately, because I missed out so much, I got to bring a lot of videos to close out this week to you. I'm starting with one of my favorite games of the yesteryear. That was Re-Mars-tered, what they call it, on the original Xbox 360, I think PS3, Red Faction Guerrilla. Red Faction started out as a first-person thing using the geo-modding thing where you can destroy about anything, and then later on, it was one of my favorite games on the 360, and it's another one of those what I call gimmick open worlds. And like I talked about with Just Cause, where even though I really like it, even though I wish there was more interactiveness with the NPCs and things, as I've talked about, one of my standards is looking at that. But you know, Red Faction, I call it a gimmick because, again, it's one of the only open worlds at the time when it came out that took place not on Earth and not in a fictional city or a real city or New York, which is what most of them take place in. But no, this actually took place on Mars, and I thought that was really neat that they did that. And another thing that would kind of said why I call it that is because it's really based around the destruction, and the destruction in this game is excellent, and they did such a good job. You can blow pretty much anything and everything up, and the Re-Mars-tered really enhanced the game with textures and of course with a lot of lighting effects and different things along that lines. It's a sharper, crisper game by any stretch. And you got these guys here. These are the EDF guys. They're trying to take over Mars and whatnot, and are oppressing the people. And let's see here, let me get rid of these guys, and just hammer them to death, which is great. And of course, the destruction aspect. You got these mines and upgrades, and then let's go ahead and let's see here. And I don't. Okay, well, there you go. And blow that up, and you see that all fall to pieces. That's what this game's about. It's all about that destruction and all about that, and that's what makes it such a fun and unique game to play. Because almost every single thing can be destroyed like that. Let me run up here and get this smokestack. That's another target I got to get. And the map, generally speaking, at the time was fairly large, but it is a pretty large map, and they try to put as much diversity in Mars. You do have like a little polar area here. Some areas are a little bit more desert than others, or more red colored, and you got a greener area because where they've been terraforming. So again, you do come across some, even though you wouldn't think of Mars being diverse, but they did a decent job of that. So you're not just seeing the same old. So let's get rid of this right here, because that will give me some points. Destroy this smokestack, blow it up, make it fall and topple. See if I can get it to go. There it goes. There it goes. Oh, look at that. It's amazing. And that's what really set Red Faction apart from most of the open world games at the time, in my opinion. So you can destroy stuff. Some of these pipes are harder to hit and you destroy, but they're a little bit harder. And yes, there's no real, you do get NPC missions from Samaya and some others, but yet, you don't have that interactiveness that I talk about in the games, and I wish that you did. It's a little bit different, and a lot of people were very disappointed in the sequel to this, Red Faction Armageddon, because they kind of got rid of the open world. Even though the underground had very big open areas, it was kind of a hub-based open world. But they put a lot of horror elements, and I ended up really liking that game because it was trying to be like I guess, Red Faction Dead Space in a way. Not quite on that level, but anybody that's played Red Faction Armageddon would tell you that. But Red Faction Guerrilla had the destruction. It has really good gunplay. You can take cover in third person. You play as Mason, and he inadvertently, because his brother was killed, you join the Red Faction and trying to stop the EDF, the Earth Defense Force. Not the Earth Defense Force from the Japanese games that I absolutely love, but a different Earth Defense Force. And Ultor Corp, because it does have some references to the Saints Row stuff, so which is kind of neat. Go ahead and kill these guys real quick. And you can take a lot of damage in this game before you really, bite it, so to speak. And it's just a fun game to play. Good gunplay, a lot of fun. And as you take over stuff, the Red Faction guys will stop their cars and get out and help you and all that good stuff. So, and you have unlimited stamina. At the time, some games actually did limit your stamina. This did not. And Red Faction Guerrilla had, you can jump in and out of vehicles. Your classic, typical open world tropes that you see. Vehicles, you can't paint them. You can't, store them per se. You can drive them around. Go back to your camp, and once you do that, you can resupply here with ammo. This is where you get your side quests and whatnot. There's guerrilla actions that constantly seem to pop up. They just populate and generate, so you're able to do like random side stuff, which nets you points for upgrading and that kind of thing. So that, because you'll be able to get those. Let's see here. There's your handbook, your statistics. Of course, you got your. You can place a beacon like anything else, but you got your demolitions master. You earn salvage. Salvage is what you use to buy upgrades and do different things. And later on, you'll get like a nano rifle, which just eats everything away. And you'll get a large variety of weapons and different upgrades. Alex will get upgrades to his trench coat thing he's wearing. He'll have armor on, and it just kind of goes through the story. And you're trying to help the Red Faction, in the oppression that's on Mars. And at the time, I played this game for probably 3 weeks straight. It just was such a fun game to play. It was enjoyable. It was fun. I just so enjoyed it, for what it brought to the table. And at the time, because on the 360, yes, we did have some other open world games out there. Sleeping Dogs was one of them. But I guess because this did take place on an entirely different planet, and it was just the unique setting, because at the time, again, it seemed like every open world was just you're doing city stuff. You're just always in a city. You're always this and that. Now, I think it would have benefited from a little bit more customization, and a little bit. For vehicles and stuff. But again, more focus on this game is about the whole ending the oppression, destroying everything that you can get your hands on, because everything is destroyable. And this voice acting is really good. And later on, you'll end up across dealing with like marauders, which are like these Mad Max. They drive really kit-bashed together vehicles. Think like Mad Max and Mars kind of combined. It's excellent. It's just Guerrilla is a fun game. It's one of those games you can go in because of the destruction, because of the things you can do in it. It's just fun, and I always found myself gravitating back towards it because of that. And exploration, you can find these giant black crystals that give you like really boosts and bonuses. There's one up here. Let's see. Let me drive up here real quick. And let's see here, and let's see, let me get my hammer out, my trusty hammer. The only thing that I was really surprised at when they re-put this back out was one of the bonuses that I had on the 360 was you actually had a golden a sledgehammer, but it was like I had a really sharp point and whatnot. They didn't add that in this game. They just, I guess, didn't add any of the little extras, little DLCs that was here and there with you can even hit vehicles or get run over by them. And, Red Faction just was, at the time, I'd have to say even now, it still holds up pretty well. Even though other games have, of course, come along and done a lot of things better and all that stuff, it's still a generally very fun, you know, game to play. I was very surprised that it held up as well as it's held up, and considering that so much more has literally come out since then, and there's some more of these things. You gotta try to get all these. This is like where you get a lot of those big, you know, boosts to your scrap there, which is nice. So I'm going to destroy that. And of course, you're trying to take over stuff. One of the things that, again, I like outside of the destruction, you are actually trying to lower the resistance in the area, and then you'll do a main mission, and then you'll take over that area, and EDF leaves. And you're just driving them out of sectors. It's very similar to what you're doing in Just Cause 4, where you're taking over sectors and pushing the enemy out and expanding the lines that are drawn there, where you are actually trying to like take over, like in Just Cause 4, take over those areas, and it makes the enemy kind of, you know, there's less presence and whatnot, and this, it kind of predates that and does the same thing. And the narrative focus of the game is very well done, because you always feel like that what you're doing, you're really liberating stuff. You run into the NPCs that you can do side stuff with or talk to. They're always like, you help them, they get out of their cars, they help you, they become, you know, you'll end up in these weird firefights where a bunch of people will just like get out and help you and drive it home. And I like that aspect. And the map itself is got the fog of war, so you can't see anything past until you like start taking over areas, and then you go to the next area. And it seems like the game just progresses and keeps progressing as you play through the game. You're just constantly doing things, and you're constantly destroying stuff of the EDF. You're doing things that you need to do to take them out, and that's what mainly the game is really about. It's all about that. Destroy the stuff, you know, blow it up. That was like property over there, so I destroyed that. And again, that I love that dynamic, you know, geomodding stuff, which is what Red Faction's known for, where you can just destroy everything in the environment. You'll get walking mechs, you'll meet some interesting characters, and it's just, generally speaking, a very fun game to play, and a very enjoyable game to play. And I have always really liked the game. And let's see here, let me pull that out there. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I got him. And you can just have fun with the ragdolling and the stuff you can do. Unfortunately, it's destroyed all those vehicles. Boy, always nets you a little bit of scrap for your upgrades. So, and don't worry about that. There's always going to be vehicles available all over the place, and there's a large variety of vehicles that have different speeds and different things. Later on, you'll get vehicles that have like guns and armament, so that'll be fun. But there's always this vehicle's always here. Even if you leave and come back, or the vehicle's destroyed, you always at least have one at your main garage here. This is where you're going to like get all your weapons refilled and whatnot. So, you know, it's just one of those. It's an old game, but it's still just a really fun game to play. The mechanics are good, the gameplay's good, the graphics, while it may not be up to today's games that have come out, it still looks really nice. It's very crisp, very high resolution on its textures, you know, and whatnot. So it's really good. And they did a good job on the remaster by just upgrading the basic shaders and textures and lighting and making everything that much better for people who had maybe missed out on this game from last gen, or whatever you want to call it, because it seems like every time they put out new systems, it's all of a sudden new gen, next gen. I'm like, well, that's what they call these systems, next gen. Which is it? So the PS5 is now next gen. So it's just one of those things. It's a fun game. It's totally worth your time. There's a lot of side quests to do and side content, lots of destruction as you play through the story missions. They'll introduce you to more members of the Red Faction, and some of the stuff is not always what it seems. I'm not going to do any spoilers here, but this game is got some really interesting story stuff that ends up happening in the game. I always did appreciate the fact that the game has had unlimited stamina. I like the fact you can run indefinitely, and that was nice. A lot of it had to do with the gravity Mars is slightly different, is the way that they kind of describe it in the game, so you're able to run. But I'm glad, because at the time, some of the games out there, they focus on, you know, this. I mean, yes, I'm able to sprint unlimited, but there were some games that didn't, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I gotta wait for my stamina to come back. So it was nice and refreshing to be able to just run where the hell I pleased and not have to worry about the stamina, because there are many times that you're going to be doing that. There are some missions get very, very enemy heavy, and you're going to be spending a lot of time running from them, per se. Like this guy here, I just like walloped, and then, you know, this area I think I've already been to and destroyed what needed to be destroyed. But I like the fact that the hammer is very, yeah, I destroyed this already. The hammer is very satisfying to use. That's one thing I will say about it. And let's see, let's get on out of here, since you got your wanted meter, and of course your meter goes from green to yellow to red, and so it's good to try to get out of the area. Once you've been out of their line of sight for a little bit, then, and you'll open up multiple safe houses. You don't necessarily have just one in each area. Most of the areas have two, and so different places. And of course you can place waypoints. The waypoint shows arrows in the ground, so it's very difficult to get lost. You'll get real familiar with the game, mainly because you just when you start playing it, you'll go, oh, okay, oh yeah, I know this area. It's like any open world game, you just kind of memorize it. Other games like Just Cause, for example, because a lot of the terrain and because it's so big, you know, it takes a while to learn the map. This map is very easy to learn and easy to navigate, and again, the driving is done well. Everything is done well for a game that came out many years ago. And so totally was worth it. I did not spend, I think the game came out for either 30 or 40, which I think is a bit steep for this game, to be honest with you. I think that's a very steep kind of price point. I bought it on sale, so it was like $9.99 a couple months ago or whatever it was, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to get it on sale and go from there. And because I did want it, I still have it on my 360 as a matter of fact, but when the opportunity arose I could play it on my PlayStation, I was all about it, and decided to go that route and played it on there. And it's just, again, it brought me back to that when I used to play it all the time and how much fun I had with it. It was such a fun game to play then, and it still is now. It still is a lot of fun. Yes, other open world games have come out, and there's so much more you can do in them versus this, per se. But if you can get this cheap, it's a total recommend, and totally, it's good, because it needed to be on Open World Week. And again, I'd like to apologize for not putting up anything the last couple of days, and that's why I'm putting some videos out tonight to try to wrap up Open World Week. And we got some other surprises along the way this coming up week, and some new stuff to talk about, and some news. And I got a state of play that I'll be doing about Marvel's Avengers, because boy oh boy, we need to talk about this one. And a lot of it's just a crying damn shame. And Crystal Dynamics, we'll talk about that in the video, because I just kind of want to talk about it now, but I'm not going to get into it, because this is about Open World Week, and this is Red Faction, and it's all about the destruction. And later on, you'll be able to throw more than 2 mines. I'm still in the early game. Let's get rid of that vehicle. There we go. That was fun. And just destroy it. Get some scrap out of it, probably, if it created any. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it don't. Most of the time it does. And that's basically what you're seeing with Red Faction. This great game with gunplay. You can take cover. You're destroying stuff. You're going around seeking out those ores. There's 300 of them, and just an old school open world game that deserves to be on Open World Week. Well, gamers, that has been a little bit of Red Faction Guerrilla. I didn't want to take too much of your time. I just wanted to show you a little bit about this game. It's one of my favorites from yesteryear. It's one of my favorite open world games even now. And I'll be back with you with another video just shortly and talk a little bit about another one of my favorite games that did not sell at all and is a crying shame that didn't. I have done videos on this game before, but I want to get into it. And of course, please check us out on unpaidgamers.com, Unpaid Gamers on YouTube, and you can check out Post-Human Guy's Leisure Play of the new Miles Morales Spider-Man on PS5. And he's talking about, and you're going to see his leisure play on that. He's got a couple podcasts coming up. Banloss is still doing the Apex Legends and still kicking ass and taking names. And the People's Machine is sitting here at the Gaming Roundtable with you, bringing you the final games of Open World Week. I missed out on a couple days. I feel bad about that. I do apologize if you were enjoying that. And that concludes this video. And as always, gamers, good gaming.